Philly, New England, probably upset of the week in my
Yeah,
opinion.
this was definitely like as far as shocking games go. This
Mm,
was the shocker
Yeah,
of the week, like easy,
yeah.
easy.
Uh, uh, the biggest shocker was seen at one point the score was 35-14 in Philly's favor. I mean, not only did they beat New England
Yeah,
at Foxborough, but for a little while was destroying them in
they blew them
Foxborough.
out. Really, the final score was two garbage time touchdowns by the
Yeah,
Patriots. I mean, honestly, it was a lot. It wasn't as close as the final score makes it look like, which is crazy
yeah,
because Philly has been pretty up and down this season.
really have
Mostly,
been.
mostly down,
Yeah,
honestly.
I agree.
And this was like, I mean, even if they don't make the playoffs, this is a feather in their cap, so to
Hmm.
speak. You know what I mean? Like, uh, I mean, all of a sudden the Patriots aren't looking so hot. Here we are, two losses in a row. You know, or are they still the favorites to win the AFC? I don't know.
Win AFC still up there for candidacy, but here's the thing: you talk to us in any of our videos, especially when we're getting to mid-season point, like where we're talking week 8, we're both agreeing that hey, New England looks pretty indestructible. You know, New England is the team to beat. If anybody can bring down New England, like that's going to be a big feature. Now they lost 2 games in a row, but here's the thing that's kind of interesting. Look at every other team that lost that was undefeated. Atlanta lost 2 games in a row. Packers lost 3 games in a row. Denver lost 2 games in a row. New England lost 2 games in a row. Seems kind of weird that like all these undefeated teams that once they get their first loss, it almost just like carries over to the next week and they
I think
screw up
Cincy
again.
lost two in a row too, right?
Yes, yeah. Cincinnati
Yeah,
2 in a row.
yeah,
I think
uh,
Arizona 2 in a row. It would,
yeah.
and it's just kind of been this giant trend this year that any undefeated team has gotten this. I don't know, it's almost like it's a bad taste in their mouth, and then they just play sloppy
Yeah.
the second week.
That's
And
that's an interesting point. I never really even noticed that.
at this
It's
point,
like, yeah. Go ahead.
oh, well, like just a weird phenomenon, I guess,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
happening this year. Other than the weird phenomenon that we had so many undefeated teams going into
yeah.
this
That
entire
was
season, so it's weird on both sides of the spectrum. What I was gonna say with New England is they did play sloppy, like all around they
yeah,
played sloppy. They also played very weird football. We saw weird plays come out of New England this entire game.
right.
We had that drop kick, onside kick. We had Amendola throwing a pass to Tom Brady. What is this? The longest yard? What the fuck happened there? I
I
mean,
don't know what that
or even Waterboy, like the last play of the game, and I mean,
was.
it just got weird. And I'm gonna talk shit about Patriots fans a little bit, and not too much. But here's the thing: I think anybody who's Patriots are gonna sit there and be like, "Well, there's too many injuries on Patriots. That's why we're losing." You guys had Amendola back this game.
Yeah,
I know he was questionable. I know he's not 100%, but you had him, and still doesn't explain. Gronk is out. Yeah, I get that, but here's a big
that's nothing
question.
unusual though.
Yeah, exactly. Gronk's out every year for at least 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, here's the biggest question that I don't understand about the Patriots. What the hell happened to the running game?
It's pretty much non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, it was
It
pretty
really.
strong. It complimented Brady big time in the
Well, I
beginning of the
mentioned it a
season.
few weeks ago that it was faltering. It was getting pretty bad,
Hmm.
and it really finally came and bit them in the ass.
Yeah,
The last few weeks have been pretty non-existent,
yeah,
and they finally paid for it. I think because they're predictable, especially when they started losing wide receivers
yeah,
left and like dropping like flies. You know,
yeah,
I mean, with no run game, who's going to make a play?
yeah,
Nobody, evidently.
yeah.
So, and you mentioned them being sloppy, and I'm glad you brought that up
Okay,
because I actually wanted to talk about that a little bit.
okay.
Um, they gave up so many plays on special teams and offense,
Hmm.
like turnovers. Like Tom Brady was getting picked.
A pick six on top of that.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Like, look at this. This is a punt block for a return touchdown, a pick six. Sproles did his famous,
what he does best.
right. return, and then they had 2 offensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
The Eagles did. So I mean, that's 3 touchdowns in a row though. They weren't even done by the offense.
Hmm.
That generally shows that you're playing some sloppy football. If you're giving up touchdowns to special teams and pick sixes, that's never good, obviously.
Right.
And
There's a couple of things to talk about for Philly's side. Uh, Number one, Philly's defense has actually had a pretty solid defense all year round. They
yeah,
don't necessarily
they
have the
have.
wins to show it, but when we're talking about up and down, I think the biggest thing that's been up and down is their defense. They have games where they play like that. You get big turnovers, you make points off of your turnovers, you really
Right.
play good, solid, defensive football. And then they've had just games where they just blow coverage big time.
Yeah.
So to blow cover or to be that strong against New England is impressive. Now, I guess the big question: if Gronk was in the mix, would that be the same? And everything. I don't know. Maybe
I mean, this
not.
game wasn't close. I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like
I mean, honestly.
even with or without Gronk, they just didn't have enough time to make a winning comeback. They sort of came back, but not a winning comeback by any means.
Philly almost let them. They let them. That second touchdown they gave up was probably like, ooh, don't do that.
Yeah,
But realistically, the Patriots were honestly never really in this game
no,
ever,
no, not really.
and it was damn impressive by Philly. And if they keep playing like that, then they're gonna win that division, and they're gonna maybe do some damage in the playoffs. Honestly,
Maybe. I think if they can
if they
continue.
can sustain that, I'm not saying they will.
I know
I'm saying if they did,
that's the hardest thing about Philly this year is they have
yeah,
games like this, and then when games like this happen, people are like, "Well, maybe we should give Chip Kelly, the benefit of the doubt," and then they have these garbage games where
yeah,
they're on the other side of this, like where they look more like how New England looked this game, and then
right.
you question, well, maybe Chip Kelly isn't going to be there next year, and that's what's really hard. And I think we actually had a discussion a few weeks ago where I said get rid of Chip Kelly after this year. You said to keep him around one more shot.
Yep.
So with a game like this, I think that's going to solidify his job for one more shot, unless they
Especially,
lose out the
or
rest of the season.
especially if they make the postseason.
Yeah,
Especially,
I mean, if they're making the playoffs, he's got his job right next year for sure.
yeah.
But I don't necessarily think it's all on him. Maybe it
It's,
is. I don't know. They're confusing. They confuse the hell out of me.
they
I
are.
don't know what to say about them at all.
If you're an Eagles fan and you watch them week in, week out, and you think you have more answers than we do, go ahead and give us some feedback.
Yeah, I definitely would like to hear
Because
from some
I
Eagles
don't get to watch
fans.
them as much, obviously, as a fan does that watches every game.
Hmm.
So sometimes you notice nuances that a more casual viewer of the team doesn't.
Yeah,
So you know how it is. There you go.
there you go. I do enjoy it. Any Eagles fans, yeah, let us know. Leave us a comment. We would like to hear more about what you think of what the Eagles are looking like and how you feel about Chip Kelly because I don't think our opinions alone justify all of it because I think there might be little things that we don't see. I don't know. I'm just giving the overall spectrum of what I do see, and I could be wrong. I'll admit if I'm wrong. I
We
will.
see flashes of greatness and flashes of shit. So
Yeah, yeah, it's all over the place. So with that, please let us know, Eagles fans. We'd like to hear from you. Uh, you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. There's links in the description below. And
we'll even listen to the Patriots fans if they want to respond.
yeah, we'll even listen to you. And don't tell us because Gronk is out, because we already know that.
Brady was playing, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, Brady. Come on. Come on. Come on.